Good morning, children, and welcome to my new class. So, let us resume from here. As you all remember, we were doing this chapter coming home to Delhi, and we have seen how the children are excited about their train journey. Let us read on. This was my city, the city where I was born, and the city of my ancestors. Now, who are ancestors? Ancestors are the people uh, from whom we have descended, right? Like our fathers, grandfathers, great grandfathers. My heart invariably skipped a beat when I saw it. Now, skipped a beat, this is a phrase. Skipped a beat means here she got excited when I saw it. Delhi, India's capital city, is a combination of many Delhis. Now, here a lot of cultures are there. For the last 1,000 years, as rulers replaced each other, one Delhi was torn down to build another. See, in your SST, in your history, you must have studied a number of rulers. They arrived in India and they ruled over Delhi for various periods of time, often with the stones of its former self. Of all Delhi's conquerors in the last millennium, the Mughals were perhaps the most glorious. So, this is something which we have studied in our history also. With their great wealth and reputed taste, they built two cities, of which Shahjahanabad, now called the Old City, became famous throughout the ancient world as the seat of the Grand Mughal. Coming from distinct places, these rulers longed for the food and climate of their home. Longed means when you really want something, longed for. They could do nothing about the weather, but they built gardens, water tanks, and canals. The Mughals carved marble canals and went through their palace bedrooms, and they ate their own food. As the years went by, some of their dishes were included and accepted as part of the city's local food, like Persian style pulavs that combined meat and rice, samosas, pakoris, and of course, tea. Next, at my grandfather's house, the men in my family learned Persian poetry and ate delicate kebabs. Now, this is some one delicacy of the Mughals. The women, though allowed some education, were kept at home. Now, you know what? At that time, the women were not allowed to go out to pursue education long back. Nowadays, the culture has changed a lot, but at that time, when they played tennis, the entire court was cleared so that no one could see them dashing about in flowing saris and tennis shoes. So now, when the women wanted to play tennis, the tennis court was completely cleared so that no outsider was there. On cold winter evenings, a wood fire was lit in the drawing room where three benches stood in front of the fire. Here, the children, about 2 dozen of us. So, how many children were there? About 2 dozen. 2 dozen means 24. Would sit playing word games. Behind the benches was a circle of sofas and a large chair. It was from here that grandfather held court. Held court means he observed everything, whatever was happening there. He loved to lecture his grandchildren on Delhi's history, and his best opportunities came at family picnics. Now, family picnics were very common. These were held in the winter or monsoon season in a well tended garden of a 17th century tomb or a 12th century palace. So, they preferred to go to tombs or palaces for their family picnics. The entire family would go on the picnic. During my childhood, it never occurred to me that families could come in sizes smaller than 30 people. So, probably the narrator here belongs to a family which had around 30 people, and she thought that normally all the families are 30 people only. The small families do not exist, swelling easily to a few thousand at the mention of a wedding. And when it was a wedding time, they would be able to see thousands of people in those weddings. So I hope till here you have understood till paragraph number 5. We'll continue it in my next class.